The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this Friday Eve. Jacky, how you feeling?
Feel good, got through that little hump day yesterday with all the tricky weather.
Hey, so we made it through. We definitely made it through. It was interesting, right? Because the forecast said it wasn't going to rain, and then it started to rain, but it wasn't even like a drizzle rain. It started to rain at one point.
So
and then
yesterday morning I'm like, all right, got my jacket on, getting ready to ride into work, and I was just like, nope, carpool. Going in the car, and then it just started raining off and on. Some of it was like that misty stuff.
Exactly.
And we're like, oh, we could tolerate this. And they were like, nope, I got one big drop. Pop. I was like, yep, time to go. Pack it up, kids.
Time to go back home. Yeah, I noticed it. And I didn't have to go out yesterday, but I did have my rain boots on because I saw that it was going to rain. And I was like, I don't trust Bermuda, so I am going to I'm gonna go ahead and keep these rain boots on.
So it's a 50% chance it's gonna rain. Sometimes you feel like no cloud in the sky, and you're like, where are you coming from?
No, seriously, where are you coming from? I don't understand the weather, and it's not my intention to understand it, but so it goes. If you're just joining us, good morning to you. Thank you, Sean Smith, for joining us. As you're joining us, go ahead and drop us a good morning greeting, because Jacky and I, as you can see, are ready to bring you some more feel-good energy to share and start your day off on a positive note. We're going to be talking about, for our feel-good topic, whether homeownership is achievable for millennials. This is a topic that we've probably discussed previously on the show, and we're going to continue talking about it because Jack and I are millennials, and we do see a lot of millennials griping with this question on whether they should even be considering homeownership or not. So make sure you stick around for that. And if you want to test your knowledge against Jacky for a chance to enter our 1-year anniversary giveaway, make sure you stick around for our feel good vibe of the day, which is trivia time with Terry. We're going to start off with our feel good warm-up question of the morning. And this, we want to know because we saw this video on Instagram. It was a real TikTok, basically the same thing, where there was a person mimicking a Gen Zer as they join a new company. And one of the things he mentioned was that my hours are between 8 and 5. And he said, outside of those hours, I'm dead. Don't think of me. I'm not alive. And he was so serious. And I was just like, I don't see a millennial saying they're dead. I see them trying to set the boundary of, 8 to 5. These are my hours. But if you text me at a certain time, I'm still awake, I might respond. All of that good jazz. So we wanted to know, have you ever felt guilty for choosing yourself or choosing to put yourself over a commitment you've made? Let's talk about guilt tripping. Let us know in the comments a situation where you maybe felt guilty or just felt guilty yourself. Jack, you said you can relate, so tell me your situation.
All the time. I've been exhausted from work, and people have been like, are you coming to my birthday drinks? And I'm just like, yeah, I guess. And I'm just like, I can't not go because it's their celebration, or I already committed to going to their dinners. I mean, that was before. Now I'm just like, I'm a flake. I'm like, nah, I'm not coming. I don't feel like it. I have no excuse except for my couch is way more comfortable than going and sitting at the restaurant and having to talk to people I don't even know. Like sometimes that's not what I want to do. And now I'm just like, life's too short to be doing things you don't want to do, kids.
Knew she's gonna end it with the kids. It's so interesting, right? Because I feel like guilt tripping is like one of the subtle things that I don't even think people, I wouldn't say I don't think they know, but I like to think that well intentioned people do not intend to make you feel guilty. I do feel like sometimes it's just a byproduct of, I made these plans, I asked you to come, you said yes. And because you're now saying no, I feel some type of way. So now I'm going to project that on you, i.e., guilt tripping.
I mean, if it's like a big, big event and I've committed, most times I'll be like, so I'm coming, but I'm not staying for long. Maybe
Hmm.
an hour because I said I was coming. But if it's something like where I'm not going to be a miss because you're going to be too busy hopping around, like drinks, for example, I'm not the star of the show. You are, which means that everybody's going to be pulling at you. So you probably won't even remember that I was there. Half the time they don't. I'll be like, yeah, so you looked like you were having a great time last night. You were there? Yeah. So I've learned, I've even tried it one time. I didn't show up. I had a rough day and I was just like, just knocked off, got home, had to deal with stuff. And then by the time it was time to go back out, it was like 45 minutes left to the event and it took 20 minutes to get there. What's the point? So the next day I was just like, you look like you had a great time. Based off of social media, but I didn't specify. And she's just like, yeah, I did. Like, I didn't realize you were there. That was like, thank you for coming. And I'm just like, you know
Jackie's
what?
over there lying to her friends.
I'm just gonna let it go. I'll talk to you another time about all of this, about me not coming.
Me pretending like I can. So if you're just joining us, Jackie and I are talking about guilt tripping. We want to know, have you ever felt guilty for choosing to put yourself over a commitment that you've made and what that experience was like for you? I know it was really interesting from that video. It was a funny video. We'll share it on social media because it is hilarious. Like, this young man is funny. The boundary of time to me feels so loose. Like, because if you say, okay, I'm gonna come by a certain time, and like you just said, time passes and goes and goes and goes, and then you get to this point where like you might feel stress or anxiety around,
Yeah.
I haven't gone there yet. It's now an hour before or an hour after. If I show up now, everyone's gonna see me. Or if I don't show up now, what are they gonna say? Like, all of these things run through your head, and then you low key guilt trip yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you low key have all of these conversations in your head, and the person might just be like, you know what, it's cool. I understand you're busy, blah, blah, blah. But you've had this whole scenario going on about how this would feel. And you guilt tripped yourself into either going or coming up with this elaborate reason as to why you haven't gone.
Definitely guilt tripped myself last week. What day was it? Was it Saturday? I think I read. I think it
Tell
was.
us the story.
It was a friend's birthday. They were doing like karaoke and drinks and stuff, and they 3 people invited me. So I was like,
Mm.
oh, no, I guess I have to go if 3 people have reached out. And I was just like, yeah, I'll pull up, whatever. And then it was supposed to be between 8. It's supposed to be from 8 to 12. So I was like, oh, well, I'll leave from about 8:30, whatever the case. Yeah, it was Saturday, 8:30. But I had knocked off with you guys, dealt with some other stuff, finally got home, dealt with Star, played with her, and I was supposed to have a nap, but I didn't get a nap, and I had been up since 5
Oh
a.m.
no.
earlier. So I was like, I'm so tired, like I really can't, I'm not gonna be able to do this. But then I was one of the friends was like, you're still picking me up to go, right? I was like, oh, I forgot we were carpooling. I'm like, yeah. And he was even like, yeah, if we don't leave by 8:30, 8:40, if you're not here by 8:40, I'm not going. And I looked at my phone and it was 8:15, and I got up and I showered and I got ready and I was out the house by 8:40, but I was communicating with him the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And we went, and I actually, even though we guilt tripped ourselves into going, because both of us were just like, oh, we're tired. I had a blast. I had such
Hmm.
a good time. But I could have also been quite fine with staying there.
And sometimes that's the thing, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, sometimes you have to be guilt tripped into doing something that you probably wouldn't necessarily do if you had the excuse of, I like my couch better, my friend is my ride, they're not picking me up, or they're late, they're sleeping, whatever the case may be. I'm not giving. I've definitely done that. I think Jack was supposed to pick me up for one event, and like the timing didn't align. And I was like, sis, I'm in my bed now. It's not happening.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I can't remember where we were going, but it was
It was
like,
happy hour or something like that.
was it?
It was a Friday.
Maybe I thought it was a night game.
Mm. Oh no, the night game. Yeah, we also did that. Yeah.
I ended up going. I felt bad.
Oh yeah, so Jackie should feel bad because I definitely had all intentions. I was like, okay, yeah, I've never been to a night game
And I really
as
wasn't
an
going.
adult, and I was like, oh, this would be fun because it's not my game. Because Lord knows when it's my game, sis, I'm trying
Yeah,
to,
you're there. We saw it live.
I'm there, but I'm not. I'm also like not even trying to. Like I'm always there. So I'm like, oh, this would be so cool, so that I can just enjoy the game. Team that I want to see. All right, cool. Sis text me, oh, and again. I said, okay, like, I didn't hurt my heart. Like, it wasn't like something I was really looking forward to, but I was looking forward to it. So she should feel bad, y'all. Jackie absolutely should feel bad because
Wasn't-
she got my hopes
Look
up
at
and then she
this.
crushed them.
Look at this. Look at this guilt trip. Now I feel guilty. Now I feel horrible.
It was a feel good trip because
Yeah.
sometimes at the end of the day you might switch and you might change your mind, and that's totally fine. Like I don't think people should be guilt tripped into, although that's what I just did. It's not necessarily one of those things where I want Jackie to feel bad. It's definitely sometimes, things change. You decide to do something, and that's totally fine. I don't think people should be made to feel bad for choosing themselves or choosing to switch at the last minute. So it goes. I want to bring this comment in from Sean Smith before we take our first commercial break. He says, "Now, I've never committed to anything that I know there's a great chance of me not making it." This is a great way to live your life.
So the issue is if you catch me while I'm in high spirits, I think I can make anything. Like I have energy for days when I'm doing that. It's when I finally slow down, I ride home, and I sit down. I'm like, ew, I am tired. Like all of that was fake. I'm actually tired. You know how they fake it till you make it? Yeah. Most of the energy that you see when I'm getting to the end of my day, it is like that last push. So by the time I get home, I'm like,
Oh, I was actually tired.
whoa, and I have to go back out and do all this again. But yeah.
I totally agree with you on that one. Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with our feel good topic of the day. We are talking about home ownership for millennials, and we want to know some of your experiences with looking into buying a home or possibly having a home. So make sure you stick around because Jackie and I will be right back after this commercial break.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Ariana's Restaurant. I am Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you haven't already, please take a minute to share this episode wherever you are watching, because right now, Jackie and I are getting ready for our feel-good topic of the day. We are discussing whether home ownership is achievable for millennials. But we want to start off with this question. Did you feel pressure to purchase a home in your 20s and 30s? Let's start there. We just talked about guilt tripping. Let's talk about whether we felt pressure to buy a home in our early adulthood. It doesn't matter how old you are right now. Let's talk about it. Jack, you are a homeowner right now. Did you feel pressured in your 20s to purchase the home? Because I'm assuming that's when you actually got the home, like when you were in your 20s.
No, actually, I pressured my dad.
Oh, you purchased your dad?
Well, for example, like we were driving around and he's just like, yo, I saw this house, so this property. Your mom and I drove up and we thought it was just an open lot. And then we find out it's a whole home up there. And I'm just like, really? So we went and saw it and walked around with the agent and the homeowners. And I was just like, Mom would love this. Let's buy it for her. And he's just like, oh, well, hold up. I'm like, nope, we're doing it. I don't care what it takes. We're doing it. And, everybody, my other sister was a little hesitant. And I was just like, you'll be fine.
Guilt trip.
You'll be fine. Like, we can use this as an investment property in a few years. I always crack jokes that the property is decent enough that if my parents need to go into old folks home, that they will live here and we'll just bring their friends along with them, just turn it into a fun old folks home. They'll just, if they, they'll be with their people, their friends, they'll be more comfy for them. I crack those jokes all the time. So I was just like, yeah, it's a great investment property after a few years or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, I guess, guilt tripped them.
The reverse, the millennial guilt trips the boomers to buy something that they probably were going to buy anyway.
Yeah.
But I love that. So we're gonna come back to. I want to actually come back to your story, but I wanted to bring this comment in from Misha. He says, "Nope, not in my 20s. Was traveling." I want to know how many people forwent their home ownership goal for something else, whether it's travel, whether it's education, whether it's a relationship. Like, have you, if you didn't feel pressure to purchase, that's a tongue twister, pressure to purchase a home in your 20s or 30s, what did you do instead? Because I do feel like even the resource that we found on this particular topic, Acorn, they were talking about how millennials are like just not really focused on home ownership at this particular juncture of their life, which I think is weird. Well, not weird, but based on the generation before us, this
Yeah.
is usually the time.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I never really put a time on owning a house.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because I grew up in a house where my parents already owned it. So in my head, I was just like, one day I'm going to be put on the mortgage and I'm going to help bring the payments down, and me and my sisters will inherit it. So I never really paid attention to that per se.
Right.
So I never felt the pressure. It was more so, let's add to our, I guess, portfolio of property ownership. I grew up with a family that used to buy properties.
Mm-hmm.
My uncles have their own construction companies. So, in my head, I was just like, they own houses. They'll teach me how it's done. Worst case scenario, if I can't find a house, I'll just talk them into selling me one of theirs. But I never felt the pressure, but it was more something that I was interested in. I did architectural design when I was like 14 up Bermuda College, one of the courses.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch, HGTV, and I've always wanted to own a home so I can, rehab it and flip it or keep it or rent it out. Like, whatever. It was always just one of those fun things that I wanted to be able to participate in. So it wasn't so much pressure. It was just an interest and / hobby.
Honestly, before I go to this next comment, I just want to say, like, yes, Kiara, HGTV is life, but also like the concept of flipping homes, to me, it's so sad that you can't do it here in Bermuda because our property options are limited. But like that whole concept and idea of using that to build wealth, to me, seems like so dope. If it was something, it is fun too, right? Just the whole process of getting, a fixer upper and making it this amazing property. But that's one thing, like when I lived away, I used to watch it all the time. I haven't watched it since I've been in Bermuda just because I know you can't flip homes like that.
It's so irritating because I'll be sitting here and I'll be like, oh my God.
How fast they get stuff done.
I'm on Pinterest. I'm sitting there saying they should have picked that one or that one. And then it comes out and I'm like, I don't like that green. Like the Property Brothers had this horrible green one time. And I was just like, you're killing the kitchen. Like I feel like I'm having anxiety walking into this kitchen. And I'm just like, I want to be able to, I have so many different concepts and styles that I want to put into, like, bring into physical form.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have enough apartments or houses. Like, I only have one apartment. How many times are gonna change it? It's not an outfit. It's not underwear. I can't just keep changing it.
Yeah, right. And no one would recommend that either. Like, not even the veteran homeowners or the new homeowners. No one would recommend changing or doing a reno as often as one would like to if they had the options to, like, spread their creativity around. Now I want to come to this comment from Kiara because she says, no, I didn't feel pressured. It was something I wholeheartedly wanted to do. And let's talk about, like, the want of home ownership, because I do feel there is a part of the conversation where it's kind of like, okay, everyone else is doing it, so I'm gonna do it. But like, how many folks actually want to own a home, like genuinely desire to be a homeowner? Like, did you, like, I mean, clearly you genuinely did.
I want another one. So this one's like the homestead, and I want another one that is mine so that I can be like, all right, because sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a pool party or whatever the case may be. And I have to make sure that nobody else is having anything, or make sure that my friends aren't too loud and it doesn't go too long. Like, I want to be able to be like, oh, the neighbors are complaining. Well, tell them they could pay, and come in, like, they could join the party.
Come over if they want to.
Tell them come join the party, but I want to be able to have a place where my friends can come, that they're not, bothering any of my other family if they had, like, a long day, but they have long hours, and I feel bad when my friends are outside making all this noise and he's just trying to watch his football.
Trying to rest. Yes. If you're just joining us, Jackie and I are talking about home ownership for millennials. Do you think it is still possible? We did ask earlier if you felt pressured to purchase a home in your 20s or 30s. Let us know in the comments if you're just joining us whether you did feel pressured. I want to come back to this comment from Sean Smith. He says, I was doing a lot in my 20s between partying, working, traveling, and just living life. I feel like that's generally the consensus for the 20,
Was partying in my 20s.
like the decade of the 20s. And then like as you get to the 30s, I want to say people settle down or settle for less. But I think they kind of think, okay, what's the next step? Like I can't party forever. I mean, you could party forever if you wanted to. But like most people don't want to like party like they did in their 20s. Like I still want to enjoy myself, but I don't want to party like I did. Like absolutely not. Like absolutely not.
I'm more of a lounge person. Like, you know how you go and you go to the club and it's the VIP where they have the lounge, so you can stand up and you can dance, but you can also sit down and have a conversation, and then you can get up and that's where I'm at. Like, where's the couch that goes in the club?
Oh, so you want to be the rich auntie in the club.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. Cool. We know Jackie's label now. She wants to be the rich auntie. So I think Janae is talking about earning on him. Yes, Janae. So let us know, like, you know, what's your current situation with him? And she's like, are you looking? Are you just trying to figure out, like, you know, what makes the most sense for you from a space perspective? Because I do feel like when people purchase their first home, they have like this really grand or idea. And not everyone thinks like, you know, maybe the first one should be a starter home, like, you know, like you said, like one that's just for yourself. And then you move to like the one that's the homestead, which you kind of did in the reverse.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I was just thinking like, you know, how some people, when they approach things, they approach, okay, let's start with this step. And then let's go to this step. Jackie was like, I'm just going. We're just starting at the end and we'll work our way back. We start at the end and we'll work our way back. I want to bring this comment, or I think it's like a question from Rosin Famous. She says, how easy is it for someone without exposure to a home owning family to get into home ownership? We don't know. So we're going to talk about it. I think for myself, it is not that easy because I don't come from my mom's side anyway. It's not a home ownership family. So it's a little difficult to kind of understand what's the capital you need, what's the process to own, what goes into actually owning a home besides the mortgage payment. Because I feel like a lot of people stop there. They say, oh, it costs $1 million. I need 20% of it, $200,000 to put as my down payment. And then I got to think about the repairs. I got to think about if it is an income revenue generating property. If there's a tenant, I got to think about being a landlord. In addition to taking care of their needs, I got to take care of the main home needs. And I just don't think a lot of people kind of can appreciate that process. But if you've been in a home possibly your whole life, like, did you experience stuff where your parents had to, like, you know, fix things, and so that was kind of like always in the back of your mind when you were thinking about home ownership? Or did you kind of just like, I'm living my best life, they can take care of it?
No, absolutely. One of the water heaters stopped working. I was like, Dad, the water heater's not working. He was just like, yeah, okay, let's see if we could nurse that. I'll get somebody to come up. Or something, issue with the plumbing. All right, let me call the plumber. Call his name. Let's say Reed. All right, I'll call Reed tomorrow. Or like, and it's just like pink. Oh, we're gonna paint the house pink. Oh, the roof looks like on a rainy day and it's gray. Oh, the roof looks like it needs to be, you know, cleaned and repainted. Like pink. You're just pinking up pennies.
Yeah, I was like, why do you keep saying pink? Are they painting it pink? I mean, I'm here for it if they paint them pink. They want to paint the roof pink, go for it. Like, it's your house. Do what you like.
No, but yes, growing up, you pay attention to those things. It's just because you're always told to be seen but not heard, so you tend to listen a little bit more. And you're just like, the landscapers up here, and you're just like, well, he's not doing that for free. So that's a cost. Unless you want to do it yourself, which also is a cost. You gotta put time aside, buy the machine. You gotta mow the machines because you're gonna need a weed whacker, a machete, a lawnmower, a hedge trimmer. You might as well just hire somebody to do it.
All the things. So as we're talking about that, I want to bring this question across the screen. So what are some expenses people may overlook when making the decision to purchase a home? I kind of shared some just in my experience. Jackie just shared some as well. But let us know in the comments, you know, what do you think are some expenses that people just don't think about when they're first buying their home? Whether it's because they didn't have the experience of a home ownership family, or they just didn't know what they didn't know. I want to bring this comment from Misha Jack.
more of wanting not to pay someone else's for someone else's home than wanting a home for myself. My mortgage is less than my rent was for almost 2 times the square footage.
And
Well,
that's dope when you think about it, because basically you're getting more space for less money, and it's yours in whatever the
you're
time frame is
paying
for the
more
mortgage to be
you're
over.
you're paying your own mortgage, whereas if you're renting, you're paying for the convenience of not having to, if the water heater bursts, the door doesn't work, having to pay for that. But I mean, if it's yours, it's yours. You can renovate it however you please. If you didn't like that door that came with the apartment, guess what? It's your house now. Change it.
Absolutely change it, or put a door there if you didn't have a door there in the first place. Add windows, take out windows, rearrange the things, redo the electrical if you're feeling fancy. Just know that's expensive. But all of these things, like you said, like you have the power and the say so of what happens when. So that's definitely an intangible perk to owning your own home or starting the journey towards home ownership. It's definitely thing you own this place. You do what you like. Want to bring this comment in from Kiara. She says, "For me, it's a sense of I worked for this and it's mine. Also, I wanted it because I didn't want to pay rent to help someone else's mortgage when I can invest it into my own." Kind of the same thing as Mish for sure. And this one from Janae, your kindred spirit. She says, "Owning a home has always been a goal. I kind of want to fix it up there. I like a little DIY project, literally Jackie's best friend. That's right up my alley. You get to learn new skills at the same time." Let's talk about that. Like, okay, we're just going to take the money part of the conversation out of Bermuda because we just know, yes, things are going to be more expensive here. All right, cool. We get that. But what is so fun about a fixer upper DIY project? Like, speak about that.
um, the transformation. So you could walk into a house and you could be like, I don't know why this wall's here. This just doesn't flow right. I don't like the kitchen in this area. It should flip. They should have an island here. Why isn't there an island here? I don't like how small the bathroom is. You check the plans and you realize that you can actually go back a little bit further. It's just being allowed to manipulate something and make it way more beautiful than it is. It's like taking a raw diamond and finally making that beautiful engagement ring or something like that. It's just the whole process of art, a blank canvas, and just making it into something that was always your vision and being able to walk out and walk in. Like, my favorite part of watching DIY shows is the before, and then they do the come cross, and it's
Maybe after.
like so satisfying.
So clearly, Jackie enjoys this.
Not to take some like a sledgehammer and knock this window out and put a door there every day. And my uncle, I'm like, "Uncle, I'm about to take it." And he's just like, "Just give me time. I'm just finishing this project." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you're about to have another one." Like, I need to
So I want to come to the question we have on the screen. We asked the audience and yourself, Jackie and I kind of talked about it previously, but what are some expenses that, people may overlook when they are purchasing their home? And so this first one from Misha, he says the stamp duty, condo maintenance fees. So that would depend on where, your home is located, whether it's a standalone or it's in a low cul-de-sac situation. Ancillary home purchase fees, inspections, deed lookup, etc. Deed lookup, like, first of all,
about land tax. That one likes to.
Oh, land tax. Okay. Didn't know about that. Kiara says closing costs took her by surprise. And see, that's the thing. Like, okay, you see the price of the house. You work it out what the down payment is. All right, cool. The bank tells you what your mortgage is going to be. Okay, cool. And then all of these other little things come, like closing costs. Like, bruh, why couldn't that be a part of the price? Like, tell me that's a part of the price.
I think that nowadays we are lucky to have so many different podcasts. We have Daniel Woods and Ben Rigo with Keys to the Rock that have dropped some jams on us. They've been on the Daily Hour. I sit on the side and I talk to them, and so like even some things like I thought I knew, I'm like, oh wait, didn't know I could do that. Good to know. Good to know. So I don't know if anybody wants to pop over to that if they're still looking and they're still unsure, but those guys, they got some jams.
Yeah, their podcast is a wealth of knowledge, and it's by millennials, first of all, but then outside of that, it's about real estate in Bermuda, which a lot of us we're talking about HGTV and we're talking about all these shows that we watch overseas, and they're great to watch for inspiration, but they're not realistic for our climate And we just know that we have, I want to say land shortage, but we have a finite amount of land here. And unless we're going up, the properties that we have are probably the properties we're always going to have, until some other decision is made. So it's definitely cool to, hear their insight and just like see how it applies to what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to come back to this comment from Sean Smith. He said, I find a lot of people after they retire find themselves asset rich but cash poor. Home expenses do not go anywhere. And see, that's one of the reasons why I'm not that eager to jump into home ownership right now, because I'm like, if I don't have the cash to take care of the expenses, bro, what? I'm just going to be sitting pretty in this home and can't do nothing with it. It's going to be a leaking over here. My water heater's going to be broken. My wash and dry ain't going to work. And I'm going to just be like, but I got a home.
I don't know. My mindset's a little different because when I retire, I think of travel, and to know that we have certain things available to us, like long-term rental, even short-term rentals. If I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, my house is absolutely going.
Oh, yeah.
Airbnb or whatever the other sites are. And I will black out the days that I plan to actually be in Bermuda. But other than that, my house is being rented and that money is going to go right back into the house.
No flex, like I'm not going to, when I buy a home and I do make it like a Airbnb situation, I'm using the term just because that's all what we all relate to. I probably wouldn't even use a site like Airbnb. Like I'll probably create my own little situation because I don't want to pay the fees. No, not even that. I just don't want to pay the fees.
Ridiculous.
Like I want everybody to come to me.
You are absolutely ridiculous. So if you could have your own site, it's
like I'm gonna create my own little website and it's gonna do all of the scheduling situation. It's gonna have blackout dates and all of the fees are gonna come to me unless I have a property manager, and then some of the fees would go to him or her. But that's okay.
Wow. If you could do it yourself and you can have a system that's flawless and do it yourself, which we already know that you're gonna have that because coding. But
a little situation.
Yeah, you'll be straight.
So I want to come back to the DIY comment from Janae. She says, I'm just a hands-on person and creative. And yeah, what Jacky says. So the two of you are like, I don't know if y'all knew each other before the show, but I definitely feel like ever since you've been having the show, y'all just like everything y'all say is like, it's the same thing. And Kiara goes on to say the skill sets earned from having to do or assist with projects, those are actually good as well. And sometimes it's like you're low-key learning a trade without learning a trade. So you can kind of fix things yourself if something were to mess up, or at the very least, know how to break it. So another fee that, or another expense, that one may miss when they're looking to buy a home. Misha says trying to get exact lawyer fees was also a challenge. They all provide these vague tables that group other closing costs with their fees. So that kind of speaks to what Kiara was talking about around closing costs and just like some of the things that we just might not think about. And I do think whether a millennial is right now in a position to purchase a home, they're thinking about purchasing a home, or they're just like not even into the conversation, still knowing all of these different things would be helpful to kind of say, okay, the decision I'm making is for me. Like Kiara said, it's something that she wanted to do. It's not just something that someone else told her she should do.
And be very careful with your lawyers because they will charge you for the slightest of emails. If you say, hey, just checking in, that's a cost. So make sure that if anytime you email your lawyer, you have all the information that you're looking for typed out and ready before you send it. Because if you come back and you got all these new questions and stuff, it's a cost.
Got you. And so just speaking of the Bermudian content, Rosin Famous says, yes, we need more Bermudian center content. There is plenty. Jacky and I share them all the time. Jacky and I will do our best to talk about them as often as we can. And so going back to Misha's comment, he said big rambles, not tables. So the lawyers tend to give you big rambles, which I mean, they talk. That's literally their skill set.
They're talksmiths. They're smooth.
They are definitely. And so we want to wrap it up with this comment from Sean Smith. He said, don't forget death tax unless your house is in a trust. And this is a big, major key, not only from a financial literacy perspective, but from a real estate perspective. Anything you do, put it into a trust. Like create a trust, like your name, trust, like your name, estate, like make it so that it's not just going to individual beneficiaries, because I promise you that'll make, from what I have researched and what the conversations I've had when it comes to estate planning, that'll make the process a little bit smoother and will reduce some of those family issues that tend to come out towards the end of life when people are looking to divide assets. That's just something I found. And although I'm not knock on wood at that stage yet, it is something to think about, especially if you own a home.
Yeah,
Anything you want to add, Jack?
and don't quote me on this because I'm not sure if it's depending, but I learned that that tax, i.e. inheritance fee, doesn't get applied to a house that is considered the homestead.
Mm-hmm. We need to look into someone in the real estate space to see if they could tell us of that specifically, and maybe just do some more research on our own. If anyone in the comments knows about that, feel free to share with us right now. Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to wind down today's episode, not only getting your thoughts on our conversation, but also getting you ready for our feel good vibe of the day, which is Trivia Time with Terri. You're going to have an opportunity to test your trivia knowledge against Jackie for a chance to enter our 1-year anniversary giveaway. So make sure you do not go anywhere, because Jackie and I will be right back.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us, we are getting ready for our feel good wind down of the day. We want to know your thoughts on today's episode. So let us know in the comments what you thought of our conversation. I wanted to come back to something that Jackie said. She mentioned the death tax. If it's registered as a homestead, you can bypass that inheritance tax or that death tax, and Kiara says that is correct. So that is, a pro tip if you are considering your first home, or you're considering a home that you want to be a homestead. That would be something that you should just
I feel like
do.
first home should be a homestead anyway, because obviously as you get older, you're going to become the matriarch of your family, which that's going to be the main house that everybody's going to come to. So.
Well, I think for me, when I think of a homestead, I think of a homestead as like having multiple apartments.
That too, but if you ain't got all of that, you could still eventually you can add all the extra stuff. But
and one thing I wonder, like, can you switch? Like, can you transfer this property to another property? Like, let's say you buy a bigger home later on in life and you want that to be considered your homestead. I wonder if that is a possibility. I'm pretty sure it is. I couldn't see why you couldn't do that, especially if it's valued. Well, I don't know if it's valued. You know what? Never mind. We're not even going to have that aside in my head. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave that alone. This comment from JD Bradley says, morning all late tuning in. Also read it the first time purchase as a primary homestead. Yes, Jack. So literally what Jackie just said, literally, if you haven't done that, if you're considering it, do make sure at the very least you register it as your primary homestead and deal with the other things later when you buy more assets. Now, in case you are just joining us, this is the first time you have experienced this with us. It is time for trivia time with myself, Terri. I'm going to ask you 3 trivia questions. You're going to have an opportunity to guess before Jackie. That's the goal. Guess before Jackie. And if you do guess before Jackie, make sure you email us at engage@gooddaybermuda.com for a chance to be entered into our 1-year anniversary giveaway. Now, I am going to try to stump Jackie today and hopefully allow the audience an opportunity to guess the answer. But we'll see, because sometimes y'all be leaving yourselves hanging. We're going to start with a sports one. The slogan for the 2004 Summer Olympics was "Welcome Home." What city hosted that year? What city hosted the 2004 Summer Olympics where the slogan was "Welcome Home"? Oh, sorry, Jackie. Rosin Famous got it. It was Athens.
I was really to draw. Where was I in 2004?
That I could remember where the Summer Olympics were.
Oh my God.
All right, so this next one should be a little bit, I'm lying, it's probably not gonna be that easier, but we'll see how this goes. We're staying in the year 2004. Which U.S. state was the first to legalize same-sex marriage? Which U.S. state?
Boston. No, it wasn't Boston.
Which U.S. state was the first to legalize same-sex marriage? Which state, Jackie? Which state?
Got you.
2004. State. State.
Was I on the right area?
State. Jesus.
I'm wrong.
You're right. You. I'm like, you're right. You said West. Yeah.
I was just like, no, that doesn't sound right because I don't remember them having. Okay, yeah, I said it.
According to the trivia card, you are correct. Okay, I am only going by the trivia card. I can't confirm or deny the trivia card is right, but the trivia card says in 2004, Massachusetts
where it
was
gets
the first
killed.
to legalize same-sex marriage. So
I was just like, it's somewhere code. I did not think I was actually correct.
Now, yo, you can't blame me. This is what the trivia card says. It is right. It says, oh wait, the camera's right here. Massachusetts.
Whoa.
So I ain't trying to get Jackie a blind. That's what the thing says. Now, last one. Let's see. Another news headline one. It's kind of around the same time, 2006. What company, which only had around 65 employees at the time, was purchased by Google in 2006 for $1.65 billion? What company, which only had around 65 employees at the time, was purchased by Google in 2006 for $1.65 billion?
2006?
Have a think about the Google. Sis, no.
None of that?
No. Think about the Google.
Microsoft. No. I can't stand your face, man.
I'm gonna give the audience a couple seconds to guess. I'm gonna say it again. What company, which only had around 65 employees at the time, was purchased by Google in 2005 for $165 billion? Yes, Sean Smith is correct. It was YouTube. I said, think about the Google situation. Google has like.
I don't know why.
All right, we're gonna have to have a whole tech talk on Good Day Bermuda about some things that Jackie should know about technology. Clearly, she's just not doing a great job. It's fine. So, for those of you that answered the questions correctly, do make sure you email us at engage@gooddaybermuda.com for a chance to enter into our 1-year anniversary giveaway prize. Even if you've already won, go ahead and email again, because the more chances you are entered, the better your chances of actually winning the prize. And as always, Jack and I hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the day has you ready to make it a great one. Yes, we will all go back and figure out if Massachusetts is in fact the first state that legalized same-sex marriage, because clearly everyone thinks it was New York, but it wasn't. Thank you for watching this episode and also for engaging with us here on Good Day Bermuda, which is supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jack Lambert. We trust we'll see you tomorrow for more Feel Good conversations. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.